Say Crawford should have talked his talk before when he needed him. He wasn't talking like this. Now that he got the money, the cash, now I don't need WC to get me an opportunity. Now I'm gonna say, yo, fuck y'all, blah blah blah. To me, that's a little cowardice, on his part.
Ryan Garcia is leaving no doubt about his stance on Terence Crawford. He has been vocal and direct, labeling the former undisputed champion's refusal to pay the WBC as pure cowardice. Despite Crawford securing a life-changing $50 million payday, he stiffed the organization over what amounts to pocket change. This isn't just a financial dispute, it's about greed and honor, and Garcia is ready to expose the switch-up to the world. It feels like just yesterday we were watching history unfold. Terence Crawford did the unthinkable, jumping up in weight to dismantle Canelo Alvarez and snatch the undisputed super middleweight crown. It was the moment that was supposed to cement him as the greatest of this era, untouchable and unrivaled. But that undisputed reign lasted less time than a typical training camp. In a shocking turn of events, news broke last week that the WBC had officially stripped Crawford of his belt.
It's free! How you love that? $180,000 free. How much your belt cost? I wonder, how much your belt cost? Huh? I don't see no receipts on your belt. It's crazy. Y'all be having so much taxes on these belts. You got some nerves. It's crazy that you can sit up there and have all these belts. You got the WBC silver, the WBA intern, the whatever belt y'all got, and you taxing these fighters every time they fight, and you claim that you for these fighters. You're not for these fighters. You probably worse than the promoters. But hey, I wish you the best. I wish you the best, you and your company.
This wasn't a disciplinary action for bad behavior outside the ring. It wasn't because he refused a mandatory challenger. It was purely financial. The World Boxing Council sent the invoice for the sanctioning fees, the standard cost of doing business when you hold the green and gold belt, and Crawford simply didn't pay it. Just like that, the undisputed label evaporated.
He petitioned to fight a final elimination bout in super welterweight against Madrimov and remain champion in welter. The WBC supported him. He did not comply with the rules. Then he moves up to super middle and makes the fight of the century, beats Canelo, makes $50 million or around that. The WBC absolutely is not going to charge 3% of such an amount. We made a very clear 0.6%, which is $300,000, with $225,000 going to the Jose Sulaiman Boxers Fund, which is to help former fighters in need. And it is just regrettable. Not even a thank you or I'm sorry, taking a different route. No response. I wish him the best. But this is not. The WBC is huge, it's great, it's about greatness, and I'm relieved, to tell you the truth.
For fans, it's a confusing anticlimax. You win the biggest fight of the century, you stand on top of the mountain, and then you lose your footing because you wouldn't cut a check? It seems bizarre, but when you peel back the layers, this is a calculated standoff that has been brewing for a long time.
Organizations, we gotta know where this money going to. A lot of times they you got Canelo and Josh and all these guys, making $50 million, and these belts getting 3% of that. Where is it going to? How is it helping the fighters out? What are they doing with it?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford.
Let's break down the numbers because this is where the story gets murky. When a fighter competes for a world title, they typically owe a percentage of their purse to the sanctioning body. Usually that number floats around 3%. For a $50 million purse, a 3% fee would be astronomical, somewhere in the ballpark of $1.5 million. But the WBC actually tried to play ball. Recognizing the magnitude of the Canelo fight and the sheer size of the purse, they reportedly capped the fee. They didn't ask for the full percentage, they asked for $300,000. To the average person, that is a house. To Terence Crawford, sitting on a $50 million payday, that is roughly 0.6% of his earnings. It's the equivalent of buying a coffee when you have hundreds of dollars in your pocket. Yet Crawford refused. He allegedly hasn't paid the fees for his last 2 bouts. The narrative shifting through the industry right now is polarizing. Is this a fighter standing up against the alphabet soup organizations that leech off athletes? Or is this a multi-millionaire pinching pennies at the expense of the sport's traditions? The discount was on the table, the bill was lowered, and the answer was still a hard no.
Mauricio, got a lot to say about me not paying him $300,000 plus another $100K something for sanction fees, right? They ain't gonna tell me I ain't even apologize. Like, who the fuck you think I am? Boy, you better slap your fucking self. Ain't paying your ass shit. Fuck you talking about pay you $300,000. What makes you so motherfucking better than any other sanction bodies?
If this was just money going into the pockets of executives in suits, public opinion might be on Crawford's side. Everyone loves a rebel who sticks it to the corporate machine, but there is a twist in this story that makes Crawford's decision look significantly darker. A large portion of those WBC sanctioning fees goes directly into the Jose Sulaiman Boxers Fund. This isn't an administrative slush fund. It is a lifeline for the people the sport forgot. Boxing is a brutal business. It chews fighters up and spits them out, often with zero safety net. This fund exists to pay for housing, food, and medical bills for retired boxers who have fallen on hard times, fighters suffering from brain injuries, poverty, or homelessness. When Crawford withheld that $300,000, he wasn't just shorting the WBC president, he was effectively withholding aid from the very people who built the sport before him.
What do you think the Jose Sulaiman Foundation does because of those sanctioning fees that you refuse to pay? You know what he does? He helps these kids get off the streets. He houses ex-fighters. That money goes into retirement funds. That money goes into paying hospital bills for fighters who can't make it. So just because you made it, Crawford, and you made $50 million, you don't want to pay that fee ever again? That is wrong. I'm very disappointed. Yeah, there's an agenda here by that TKO group. And I'm gonna do everything in my power to do whatever I can to protect boxing. Because this is a sport that gave me everything.
This is the detail that has turned a business dispute into a moral controversy. It's one thing to fight the power. It's another to squeeze the charity fund when you are the highest paid athlete in the game.
Okay, so now you want to pay me less? Like, it doesn't work like that. If the belts help you make it to a position where you're gonna make 3-4 times more than what you were making, then you have to pay. Plus, the WBC already said it. They also work with the fighters to get
smaller.
Yes.
Instead of 3% or 0.6.
3%, but
yes.
When you're making that much million, obviously they work something else, which I think was 300,000.
Yes.
So from 50 million, 300,000, it is a lot of money for these guys, but for Crawford, it's
one sponsorship, not even a sponsor. One sponsor is
it's all.
But look, you love Crawford, Robert.
But you have to know that you get it. Just like promoters get paid, just like managers need to get paid, just like vendors need to get paid too. I don't know I don't know their situation, but with the trainer, with the managers, I don't think it's fair that the manager gets you to $1 million payday. Oh, sorry, now I can only pay 3%. Now I can only pay. No,
Fighters do that too. Not you, but other coaches, 10%. Then his fighter makes $40 million. Now it's $80,000.
I've heard that happen. But
that's not cool.
I think it's not cool. I think it's not fair.
Give him the 10% because that's what he did.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Nothing against Crawford, tremendous fighter, Robert. I respect him a lot. Again, after the Canelo fight, I'm not saying nothing bad about him, but he should have told the WBC before the fight, hey, I'm not paying. And then they could decide if they want to put the belt on the line or pull it off.
No, but
why
the thing
not?
is that he would have become undisputed.
Well, so pay the dues then.
Oh, well.
Yeah,
I
or
agree.
just, you know what, even if misunderstanding, just pay it and let it go away. Keep it classy.
This is exactly where Ryan Garcia spotted an opening and went for the jugular. During a recent appearance on Ring Magazine's Inside the Ring show, Garcia tore into the narrative that Crawford is some kind of martyr for fighters' rights. His argument is simple: authenticity. Garcia pointed out that when Crawford was climbing the ranks, hungry for opportunities and needing those belts to prove his worth, he played the game perfectly. He paid the fees, he smiled for the photos, and he used the WBC to elevate his name. Crawford should have talked his talk before, Garcia said, cutting straight through the noise. When he needed them, he wasn't talking like this. That is the crux of the accusation. It's the classic switch up. As long as the belts were useful tools to get him to the Canelo fight and the $50 million check, Crawford was a company man. But the second the money hit his account, the attitude changed to, I don't need you. Garcia framed this not as a stance against corruption, but as a selfish maneuver by a man who got what he wanted and decided to burn the bridge for everyone coming up behind him. Garcia didn't stop, calling him hypocritical. He escalated the feud by dropping the C word. To me, that's a little cowardice on his part, Garcia stated. In the hyper-masculine world of professional boxing, calling another fighter a coward is fighting words. But Garcia's logic is rooted in the timing. It is easy to be tough and rebellious when your bank account looks like a phone number. It takes actual courage to challenge the system when you have nothing.
Robert,
what's up, Benny?
So much to talk to you about. Where do you want me to? So many big news in boxing.
Is there?
So you were out of town. You were in Mexico. Terence Crawford got stripped by the WBC for not paying sanctioning. I'm telling you, he didn't pay sanctioning dues for the last two fights. We've had this talk in the past where you always told me sanctioning dues are important, and you're a big supporter of them because you said
I'm a big supporter because look.
According to Garcia, saying yo fucks y'all to the WBC now isn't brave. It's convenient. He questioned the logic of jeopardizing an undisputed legacy over what amounts to a rounding error in Crawford's wealth. The only thing I don't agree with is why is it $330,000, Garcia asked, echoing the confusion of fans worldwide. By labeling it cowardice, Garcia is suggesting that Crawford's principles are fake, that they only appeared when it became profitable to have them. It's a damning character assessment that paints the pound-for-pound king as someone who lost touch with the struggle the moment he touched the gold.
It's a bit of context to this whole situation that we learnt about with Terence Crawford being stripped yesterday.
Well, it's very unfortunate. The worst situation, the worst decision that the WBC could ever take is to withdraw recognition of a champion. And I am very sorry for Terence's actions. His actions led to the WBC decide something. And we did every single possible attempt to find a resolution and to avoid what eventually had happened. But boxing champions have obligations, same as they have great benefits from being a WBC champion. And it has been a long process, which is very uncomfortable and disappointing.
While Garcia was bringing the heat on social media and podcasts, the man at the center of the financial dispute, WBC President Mauricio Sulaiman, took a different approach. In an interview with IFL TV, Sulaiman played the role of the unbothered executive. He didn't scream, and he didn't threaten a lawsuit. Instead, he offered a response dripping with passive-aggressive shade. I am not going to entertain and get in a painting contest with Terence Crawford, Sulaiman said.
Terence Crawford is a boxer.
Terence Crawford is a sensational champion, legendary status, and I like him, I respect him. He does a lot of community work. We have met in the past, we have talked about it. He has always expressed concerns about what the organizations do. I have explained and taught him and showed him what the WBC does. We cannot do anything else. And it was his decision. He decided not to abide by the rules, and we were led with no other solution or position but to take that action.
Just going back to what you said about his concerns about, was his concerns relating to where the money goes in terms of sanctioning fees or wherever? Was that one of his concerns, where whatever money that comes into WBC, where that goes? Was that a concern?
I believe so. I believe it has to do with that. Yeah. We sat in a suite in Las Vegas. I had a presentation which I presented to him. I said, look, I want you to see what the WBC is all about. Because you as champion, I want you to be proud to be a WBC champion. Every single action, every single donation, every single program, anything that the WBC does is directly on behalf of our champions and our promoters. If you promoted a fight for the WBC, if you fought for the WBC, everything that we do is on behalf of them. It is not me or a few people.
It sounds diplomatic, but listen closely to the follow-up. He's a boxer and will always be a boxer. We only care for the boxers. There is a subtle sting in those words. By reducing Crawford to just a boxer, Sulaiman is reminding everyone that fighters come and go, but the institution remains. He wished Crawford success in his life, a phrase usually reserved for someone you never plan on doing business with again. It was a cold corporate dismissal that made Crawford look like he was throwing a tantrum while the organization moved on. The message was clear. The WBC will find a new champion, but Crawford has burned a bridge that he might need if he ever decides to fight for legacy again.
He got a huge, beautiful ring. He got a statue on the belts and everything. And he was supposed to come to the convention, and then everything just went south. I wish him the best of luck. Today at the session, at the closing session, WBC Cares took a cardboard image that we produced with Terence Crawford. We did Usyk, Tyson, Floyd, legends. So we had Crawford and we all signed it. And we're gonna send it to him as a appreciation from the WBC, wishing him the best of luck in his life, inside and outside the ring.
How does this situation with Terence, and I appreciate what you said that, you know, you're talking diplomatically because of the situation and you're giving full respect to Terence Crawford, but how does the situation resolve between the WBC and Terence Crawford? How does it come back to how it was?
Well, he's not the WBC champion. I respect him. I wish him luck. If he ever fights to the WBC, for the WBC, and he wants to abide by the rules, he's more than welcome.
So there's room for conversation if Terence Crawford wanted to, yes?
Absolutely. David Haney, Ryan Garcia was expelled from the WBC last year because of his actions. And we continue to be close to him all the process. And he did what he was supposed to do in rehab, in mental wellness, and now he's fighting for the WBC title.
So, we are left with a shattered alliance and a vacant title. Terence Crawford walks away with his $50 million, his pride, and his refusal to bow to the sanctioning bodies. But in doing so, he has handed ammunition to his critics and rivals like Ryan Garcia. The belt is gone, the undisputed era is over, and the charity fund is lighter than it should be. it forces us to ask a difficult question about the state of modern boxing. Is Ryan Garcia right? Is this the ultimate act of cowardice? Using the system to get rich and then turning your back on the obligations that support fallen fighters? Or is Crawford the only one brave enough to say enough is enough to the fees, regardless of the cost? One thing is certain, the check might not have cleared, but the fallout from this decision is going to be expensive for everyone involved. So, that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comment section. Stay tuned, and we will catch you in the next video.